the next one is Commander GPT. And so, pull up
Yeah.
its
So you
page
know what?
here.
I didn't check this one out yet, so I'll let you start, and then we can chit chat about it a little bit. So I admittedly am just still kind of dumb-ish with all these different AI things. I mean, I definitely use ChatGPT a decent amount actually for work and stuff, but I've never really used them with shortcuts yet. So
So this looks to be using the ChatGPT app, which is always a nice
nice, nice.
touch. Oh, that was brief. I was hoping for like an itemized list of steps to shave.
So, is there any benefit for using the app or the API? I mean, the API is probably a little more versatile, but the app would probably be a little safer.
Cool. Did you see me change my volume just now?
That's pretty cool.
So this is you have to make a decision in shortcuts. Do you want to provide a user interface or do you want to try and bake stuff in? Uh, let's see. What if I do this? Awesome. Of course, I don't think you guys can tell since I'm broadcasting. Yeah, so it doesn't change for you guys, but it just took my
Okay, yeah.
brightness to half,
Okay, that's pretty cool.
and then you can just like hit this guy and just be like, "Be quiet and mute." Oh, okay. So we're still getting there. That's cool though. So there's a couple of shortcuts that I've seen recently. So like there's Echo, there's Alpha, and these are all shortcuts that are basically trying to use ChatGPT to drive other shortcut actions. Like, as it is, you can ask ChatGPT to write a poem about how to brush your teeth in the voice of a pirate, uh, but you can't ask ChatGPT to send a message for you, or to schedule an appointment for you, or to route you to a destination. And so there's a few shortcuts that are basically trying to access function calling through ChatGPT, and it's always hard. Uh, so if you're going to use the ChatGPT app, as this shortcut is doing, then there is no function calling. You can't access that part of the API. Whereas if you access ChatGPT via the API, the way that function calling works is uh, in your API call to OpenAI, you provide your prompt, and then you also provide a list of functions. And the function has a name, uh, and it has a return type, and the return type is a dictionary. So, for example, if you wanted ChatGPT to return a JSON dictionary that you could use to make a new calendar event, then you could define a function called parse calendar events, and the return type would be a dictionary that had title, location, attendees, start time, end time, and then each of those, it's not just a text item. You can use any valid JSON type. And so if you want something to return a number of attendees, you can tell it it's an integer. And if you want it to return a date-time object, you can tell it it's a date-time object. And this will constrain the response from OpenAI so that you're guaranteed to get the response you were after. And then when you get the API response from OpenAI, you can check if it's just a text response, which would mean that it didn't find any calendar events to parse, or you can check the flag to see what kind of a return type it is, and it'll say it was a function call. And then here's the name of the function that ChatGPT or that GPT 3.5 ended up using. And so you can tell that a function was called in a programmatic explicit way. You can tell what the name of the function was. And once you know that it called a function and that the function was the parse calendar event function, now you know specifically which items are going to be in the JSON dictionary that was returned and the types of those, the data types of those items. And so that's the proper way to do what shortcuts like Commander GPT and Alpha and Echo are trying to do. Although I should take that back. Echo is a little bit different. Echo, that's based more on explicit commands that you need to learn. So you have to know what commands Echo is listening for. Whereas this one, it's just asking ChatGPT. And so here's the prompt that it's sending to ChatGPT. And again, when you use the ChatGPT app, you can't actually specify a system prompt. And so you just have to try and make the context clear that that part of your prompt is meant to be interpreted as a system prompt. In this case, they've used parentheses, and it starts with system : but there's no real guarantee that that's going to work the way that you wanted it to.
Yeah.
But regardless, so we've got this pretty heavy-handed prompt here. And in addition to the prompt itself, which is saying, you're supposed to be a helpful AI assistant. Don't Todd in random info. There's a few typos here, but in addition to the prompt itself, it gets the current date, it gets the system version and the device type, and so ChatGPT can cater its response to acknowledge the fact that you're on a Mac or an iPhone, for example. If you've provided a website URL from Safari as input, then it will extract the article information, so you can get the body of the article, the title, the authors. This only really works if you have like blog posts and stuff like that. And if you run this on Mac, it'll crash because you can't run these article things on Mac.
That's weird.
Yeah, Shortcuts is just not quite cross-compatible in terms of all the different actions. But if there is an article, it passes the entirety of the article here. What does it do? Yeah, it does the body of the article. So it passes that whole thing inside of the prompt. If there's anything in your clipboard, it passes that to the prompt. It tells you what your battery level is. It gets the current weather conditions, and so it's going to require location information. It says no emojis, but yeah, good luck. Good luck stopping ChatGPT from responding with emojis.
I repeat, no emojis. I like that in the prompt.
Yeah, again and again and again. I've gone through this same song and dance. It doesn't work as consistently as you like. You're like, no emojis, I swear. Some people, you'll read on Reddit different ways of prompting. You have to say like, pretend to be a grandma who can't use emojis, or if you use an emoji, I'll kill your family and make you pay $1,000. Like really weird stuff. Oops. And so, by using them as JSON values, and so like here, it's telling it that there's different commands that it can do. So there's a flashlight command, there's a dark mode command. B mode is battery saver. BNES is
brightness.
Brightness, okay. That's sorry. Interesting types of abbreviation here. And so you've got different ways. Like it's basically we're telling ChatGPT that it's supposed to infer potentially different types of desired commands and operations from the user, and it wants ChatGPT to respond from these commands in a JSON. And then here's a really good way to make sure that ChatGPT knows what you're talking about is you can provide examples of the JSON dictionary that it's supposed to do.
Nice.
And so, yeah, it's got B mode, just different examples here. And then finally, at the end of all of that, so that's a mouthful, especially since it might contain your clipboard content, which could be a huge text string or an image or something. And it also it could possibly contain an article, the entire body of an article. In addition to all of that, you've got whatever the provided input is. So it might be summarize this article, or it might be, compute this value, and you've got some mathematical expression copied to your clipboard.
I love the bottom there too. It's any mistakes will cause a deduction in points. You start at 1, at 0 you don't get to exist.
Just in case it's sentient, we want to make sure that it fears for its life.
Oh, God.
This is a good trick of modern capitalist business theory. And so
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and so then once it gets the result, it gets to check if there was a JSON dictionary in the result, the get dictionary from Ask ChatGPT, and then if there is a dictionary, then it checks for the various commands that have been defined, and then it gets to execute the appropriate action. And so this is, as I said before, this is a way to try and get essentially function calling out of ChatGPT without using their function calling API. And this is the only way that you can do it if you want to use the ChatGPT app, which is nice because then you can access this stuff for free. You don't have to go get an API key or anything. So very cool. I think my favorite thing about this is that the user doesn't have to know any of this. The user just executes it and types in a prompt, which is very cool. So very well done shortcut. HDUD,
the lowest
HYX,
common
HD.
denominator. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was just trying to say the username.
Oh, yeah. I know usernames are always so hard to pronounce. But yeah, no, I think this is awesome for like the lowest common denominator of users who, I think so. Shortcuts comes installed on phones now, right? Or do you have to actually go install it? I don't remember.
I think it's installed by default.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice because most of my friends have iPhones, and I'll do little different things with it, for fun. Just in general, like I have a shortcut to play the sad trombone song on the action or the sound on my action button on my watch. And of course, I have to play it now. So I do that to my buddy when we play disc golf, and people are like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "It's really easy. I'll show you," and they never want to know.
Right. I like that too. I like the idea of releasing a shortcut that purports to do something that every shortcut user wants, but that shortcuts can't actually do. And then when they run it, it just plays the sad trombone.
Oh, God. That's funny.
It's like, finally, a shortcut that can restart your phone without user confirmation. Wow, 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 wow.
I'm going to do that, actually. I'm going to throw that sound in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Since there's no downvote on Routinehub, what have you got to lose? Or maybe post it on r/shortcuts.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, that's hilarious.